Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for Wlbt Plus. My name is Kara Shirley, and I am your digital news desk host. Have a lot to talk to you about today. A lot of updates on some stories that we did yesterday, as well as some new things that have happened today. I know earlier today. If you joined us, we were outside of the church where the fallen officer Troy Floyd's funeral is being held today. It begins at 2 o'clock. And the visitation started at 11 o'clock. And that's what we were showing you earlier this morning. Press is not allowed inside the church just simply because of space. Availability there. Small congregation, small church, and they wanted to make sure they had plenty of room for those that wanted to come and honor the fallen officer. But we will bring you back to the funeral later today when the procession is leaving the church going to Officer Floyd's final resting place at Bethel Cemetery. Before we go into all of the news and everything, though, first I want to thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on our app, if you're watching on the website, we certainly appreciate you. All of you who are tuning in, maybe on Facebook or on YouTube, we appreciate you as well. Don't forget you can join in the conversation here at WLBT Plus on our social media channels. You can leave your comments, questions, thoughts, anything that you have to say. You can leave that there in the comments. We do ask that you be nice. But it's a free country. You can say what you want to say. But let's look outside real quick. Let's look over Jackson Prep to see what we are looking at weather-wise out there. You can see it is a beautiful day. It is a hot day. It is a very, very hot day. But this is what we're looking like over Jackson Prep. Sky looks kind of cloudy, but don't make that or let that make you believe that there is going to be rain coming, because there is no rain in our forecast over the next couple of days. Let's look over downtown Jackson as well. You see less clouds in this view here, but still very pretty. Still looks very warm out there. So if you're spending any time outside, make sure you drink your water. Stay hydrated, drink anything with electrolytes, and try and get into the shade or AC if you can. Miss Sandra saying good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too, Miss Sandra. Asking how I'm doing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm doing very well. Louise Rushing says good afternoon. Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Miss Barbara Brantley in Grand Bay, Alabama. Wow. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a sister that lives down in Alabama. I'm not sure if it's near Grand Bay, but I just know she lives in that state in the south part of it. Janet Williams is saying, happy, blessed Tuesday, Jackson. Thank you so much, Janet, for watching. Yes, it is Tuesday, the 13th, 1 o'clock, the 13th of August. And it's crazy still to think that it is already August, already midway through August, just about. Chemo is tuning in from Gulfport, says good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Those of you who are watching, and I'm trying to knock stuff off my desk here, but those of you that are watching, let me know where you're tuning in from, where you're watching from. How are you watching? Are you watching on a computer? Are you watching on your phone, a tablet, whatever? Let me know. I'd like to find out that little bit of information. So let's go ahead and jump into the news. And we're going to talk about first that Governor Tate Reeves has declared today, Tuesday, August the 13th, as a day of mourning for the fallen Summit police officer, Troy Floyd. So the flags will be flying at half-staff today. And let me get this pulled up for you. I apologize. So flags will be flying at half-staff today for Officer Floyd, who was shot and killed in the line of duty last Thursday. His funeral is happening today, starting at 2 o'clock. And we showed earlier where law enforcement from around the state was in attendance coming. It was the crowd just even before, because the visitation didn't start until 11, but people were starting to show up at 10 to pay their respects, and just seeing all of these police officers come in to honor their fallen brother was a beautiful sight to see. So, what happened with the shooting, in case you are not familiar? It happened at a checkpoint during or near West Railroad Avenue in Summit. So, according to officials from the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, a vehicle approached and a passenger of that vehicle opened fire, fatally wounding Officer Floyd. Officers from a nearby agency responded to assist. Two of those officers located the male suspect at a grocery store nearby, and they exchanged shots with the suspect. Both officers were wounded. Thankfully, they were not mortally wounded, but the suspect, however, was killed during that incidents with the other two officers. So, Officer Floyd's funeral, we told you earlier, it is happening today. Visitation started at 11 o'clock and is going until 2 o'clock today. Funeral services begin at 2, and they're at Bethel Temple Pentecostal Church, that is located in Brookhaven. And Officer Floyd's final resting place will be at Bethel Temple Cemetery, and that will follow immediately after the funeral services. Now, we have gotten some information from the Mississippi Police Benevolence Association, and they are asking for financial support for the widow of Officer Floyd. So he was, as you say, as we've said before, a member of the Summit Police Department, but he was a 20-year veteran of law enforcement. He is survived by his wife and adult children. And if you would like to donate to the Mississippi Police Benevolent Association towards Officer Troy Floyd for money for his family, the website is PBFI, which you'll see it on the slide here on your screen, but pbfi.networkforgood.com. That website there will then take you to where you can see projects, and then you can select the fundraising efforts for Officer Floyd. And 100% of these funds received by the Police Benevolent Association will go to Officer Floyd's widow. So if you would like to donate to that, again, the website is pbfi.networkforgood.com. And what I will do as well is I will put the link to this, the full link to this. I will put it in the comments here on our Facebook page. So if you would like to find the link to go to donate, I'll put it in the Facebook comments for you guys. But all of that money that is raised with that will go straight to Officer Floyd's widow. And it's a great way to be able to help and support the family. Now, coming back here to Jackson, talking about some new lines or new redistricting lines for the area. So after weeks of deliberations and meetings, city leaders here in Jackson have set new ward lines. So in a special called meeting, the city council approved, turn that down for you. City council approved new district lines with a 5-to-1 vote based on data from the 2020 census. So the lines, once certified, will be in place for the next 10 years, and they're going to be used in the 2025 municipal elections. Also, with the general elections coming up, multiple council members say they believe that it was smart to bring communities together to avoid confusion.
I think one of the most important things, and I think that we were able to handle that, is to make sure that we have whole communities. Mr. Grizel and I have had Cedar Hills, which was split right in half. Now that whole community is all a part of one ward, and hopefully we'll all be a part of one precinct. And so we got to work toward that end so that our voters won't get confused when it comes to election time.
So now this will head to the circuit clerk for final certification. Coming back over to some of the comments here, Miss Barbara says that you watch every day. Thank you so much for that. You're right on the coast at the Alabama-Mississippi state line. Well, then you are not that far from my sister watching on your phone. Thank you so much, Miss Barbara. Kashana, am I saying that right? How about Miss Coleman? I can say that properly. She is watching from Summit, Mississippi. Thank you so much for tuning in, Kashana. And good afternoon to you as well. Janet Williams watching from her iPhone. And Miss Karen here, Karen Middleton, is saying praying from Wesson, Mississippi. Thank you so much, Miss Karen. Those prayers are for Officer Troy's family. So there were some firefighters that were recognized and honored yesterday at the Jackson Mayor's press briefing. So the mayor is honoring, or he honored three firefighters who rescued a man from a burning building, a burning apartment last month, rather. So he says that Captain Charles Gillespie Jr., Lieutenant Link Tucker, and relief driver slash operator Darius Loving would receive the city's life-saving award. So the three of these men worked to save a man who was trapped on the second floor of the Fonder and Hill apartments last month. The mayor says the man was taken to a hospital and is expected to make a full recovery. And he also commended the firefighters who put their lives on the line to save him.
Many of us would like to think that in a moment like that, in a crisis, we would go in and save someone, but you really don't know until you're faced with that predicament. And so when called on, you demonstrated that you are truly heroes and that your training was indeed purposeful and needed.
So Fire Chief Willie Owens was also commended the firefighters for a job well done during that ceremony, and congratulations to them. You know, I think sometimes I know I can take for granted what those that choose to serve us, whether it be firefighters, police officers, EMT workers, anything like that. I take for granted the danger that they put their lives or possibly put their lives on the line for every day to help take care of us, to make sure that we stay safe or that we escape from a burning building that is on fire. So thank you to those firefighters who really answered the call that day. So we told you a few weeks ago about a lot of the apartment complex, not a lot of the apartment complexes. Let me correct that. Some of the apartment complexes here in Jackson were facing their water being cut off. And we learned about this after one apartment did get their water cut off. We found out that there was over $1 million worth of unpaid water bills from different apartment complexes. The word just left my brain, but from different apartment complexes around Jackson that had seriously delinquent water bills, and those water bills had just continuously racked up. However, Jackson Water did not cut the water off until every effort was made to get the funds that they were owed. So we found out that one water service is being restored to one Jackson apartment complex yesterday. So some of the people that live over at Blossom Apartments, they reached out to 3 on Your Side saying their water service had been suspended. So this complex is located on Woodbine Street. So we reached out to the owner, Tony Little, who said the water was expected to be restored after a payment was made. Now, interim third-party manager Ted Hennepin of Jackson Water said earlier yesterday afternoon that the water was shut off because the owner had not made serious effort to pay. So Jackson Water, as we know, they've been enforcing a new policy for apartments with delinquent water bills. So at least hopefully a payment's made and these people do get their water cut back on. It's a very unfair situation for the people living in these apartments. Generally speaking, when you live in an apartment complex, water is included in the cost of your rent. And so the people really have no other recourse except begging their owners, the owners of the property, to pay the bills, especially once their water gets cut off. What our suggestion and something that also Jackson Water has suggested is that if this is you, if you are in an apartment complex and you want to make sure that your bill is being paid, the water bill is being paid so that you don't go without water, talk to your management, talk to those there in the office and just make sure, get verification. It's your living situation and you have the right to ask the questions for sure. We have also told you about in the past the new parking meters that are here in Jackson, especially downtown Jackson. And a lot of you are saying that the cost of the parking meter is a little concerning to you. So it costs you $1 an hour now to park downtown. If you end up having to park at one of these, you have an 8-hour workday. That's going to cost you $8 to park in downtown. So you can pay at the meter with coins or a card, or you can pay from your phone through text or the parking app website. So the mayor yesterday said other larger cities are charging for parking, and the current price that we have here is affordable. But some of you say that this new system is really more of an inconvenience, and you would like the city to find another way to generate revenue.
I think the whole process is a little confusing, in terms of what do you actually do to pay? Is there a meter? What are the penalties for not paying? I don't think the average person quite understands the process.
It doesn't let you extend it. It says, oh, you can go to 2 hours, but then once you click 2 hours, then it says, oh, this is not available. So you just have to go and do a whole nother session.
So the city expects to share the first amount of revenue numbers with you very soon. As soon as we get that information, we, of course, will pass that along to you. Now, something that we've been talking about a lot here is the Jackson Zoo. We've been doing a lot of investigations and looking into the Jackson Zoo here. And a lot of you watching through this WLVT Plus, you have made comments that you believe that the Jackson Zoo should be moved from its current location. Even some of you have said that you believe that the Jackson Zoo should actually be closed down because of its conditions. So according to the zoo, they say that they've turned away hundreds of visitors and money recently. So city officials were answering some questions yesterday following our 3 on Your Side report about declining revenue at the facility. And in a press briefing that happened, the city's Parks and Rec director said that in just the month of May, the zoo turned away 423 potential visitors because it could not take electronic payments, credit card payments, pay through your phone, PayPal, anything like that. This equaled to be about $7,000 worth of revenue in May alone. Now, in July, the zoo missed out on what could have been $11,000 in payments, according to the zoo officials. Director Abraham Muhammad says a credit card system is expected to be installed by the end of this month, and he does believe that that will bring in more money. He also talks about pictures circulating online regarding the zoo's condition and animal deaths.
There are areas that we are continuing to improve. There are the overall conditions of the zoo that we're continuing to improve. We're not running away from that to say that there are improvements and things that need to be done. But I just wanted to answer the question factually, and I actually thank you for bringing it up. There are no animals perishing at an alarming rate, and the zoo is not unkept other than it being a zoo.
So he also says that different programs along with zoos train getting back up and running will soon bring in more money. Different programs along with the zoo's train will bring in more money. And then as of July 21st, the zoo made around $40,000 in ticket sales. Meanwhile, the city spends around $1.6 million to keep the zoo up and running. So that's what we got currently as far as numbers. We are looking, doing some more investigation into that. And one of our reporters here who does a lot of the investigations with that is Anthony Warren. He will be on WLBT Plus with me later this week to really talk in detail about the Jackson Zoo, things that he has learned, and it really give you guys an opportunity to join in the conversation there. So make sure you are paying attention and watching for that later this week. Also, as far as the Police Benevolence Association's fundraiser for the family of fallen officer Troy Floyd, that link is in the comment section now if you would like to donate to that. All of the money raised, all the money donated will go straight to Officer Floyd's widow. But the link for that is now in the comment section on Facebook and on YouTube. So make sure you click on that and hopefully be able to help the family out. So the Mississippi Lottery, how many of you play the lottery? Do you do the scratch off tickets? Do you buy the tickets for the big mega Powerball, all that stuff? I do buy scratch off tickets every now and then because I think they're fun. I get like the $1 or $2 ones. And then of course when the jackpot for the lottery reaches like that, unending billions and billions of dollars number, I definitely buy a ticket then because you're definitely not going to win if you don't buy a ticket, right? So, and also I count it as my way of helping Mississippi and the Mississippi's education fund. Well, more than $45 from the Mississippi Lottery, $45 million. It's a lot more than $45. $45 million from the Mississippi Lottery Corporation has been transferred into a fund created to enhance education here in Mississippi. So for the recently closed out fiscal year of 2024 that ended on June the 30th, the MLSC transferred more than $125.1 million to the lottery proceeds fund in the Mississippi State Treasury. By legislative ruling, the first $80 million collected by the MLC in any fiscal year is designated for Mississippi roads and bridges. And MLC said that it hit that mark by February of 2024. So if you're looking at the numbers here, it seems that the Mississippi Lottery Corporation has raised quite a bit of funds for the state of Mississippi. So it looks like it could be a pretty good success there. So I like it. I now hopefully maybe one day, besides one of my little scratch off tickets that may win me about $10, maybe the lottery is in my future winnings. Maybe, hopefully, probably not. But, there is always a time to keep your fingers crossed for something. So we do have some new information for you now following Jackson City's Capitol Complex Improvement District, its headquarters, and a separate court that is going to be coming along with it. So the old Wright and let me turn that down for you. The old Wright and Ferguson Funeral Home is expected to start housing Capitol Police by the end of this year. So the new structure is going to include a state-of-the-art 911 dispatch center, holding cells, and a public lobby and offices. In case you weren't aware, the current calls for 911 go through Jackson Police Department at this time. But once this new facility opens up, they hope to have their new 911 dispatch center. DPS Commissioner Sean Tyndall says he wishes he could have been in the facility sooner, attributing delays to the amount of work needed to renovate the old building. So eventually, the old chapel will become the CCID courtroom. But Tyndall says they're making arrangements for a temporary facility on Jefferson Street, which they believe will be ready by October.
We've been working hand in hand with JPD, Capitol Police, Hinds County, to improve a greater presence of law enforcement, not only in the CCID, but throughout the whole city of Jackson. And I think with that, we're going to see businesses starting to come back down to downtown, and we're going to see people realizing, hey, we can stay in Jackson. It has a lot to offer, and hopefully this will be the beginning of the birth of the regrowth of the city of Jackson.
So he also says that because the Supreme Court has yet to do a number of things, more delays could be expected. However, the Chief Justice says he is also waiting for the process to move forward. Last week, we told you about the Talamara Hall. It was being closed because of some issues that they were having there. And also believes we're being told that it's in the process of receiving some much needed improvements. But Jackson Mayor says it won't happen overnight.
We've been working hand in hand.
Sorry about that. Had the wrong video up. All right. So the mayor says that the repairs are going to cost around $4 to $5 million. The hall temporarily closed on the first floor maintenance and microbial. I knew I was going to say that wrong. Microbial remediation. Due to the size of the building, a new air conditioning unit must also be installed to fix the problem. Now, we're being told in the meantime, the building will continue to use chillers. Let's see if I can get this the right thing.
Well, these aren't things that have all of a sudden fallen in disarray. Valuamara Hall, surprise, is old, right? And as an older building, things start to decline. And so we have the money in order to repair many of these things, but it takes time.
So here's something that I thought was crazy about this story is that the mayor says that it only costs $1,200 to rent the hall. And that is something that he's looking into changing to bring in more revenue. I know of much smaller areas in Meridian, much smaller venues in Meridian that charge that much to rent their facilities. So I believe that $1,200 is a incredibly low price, and they could probably get more. So it's a good thing that they are looking at changing that to help bring in more revenue for the building. Let's look at our Facebook comments here. Willie Demas is saying, we definitely need a vibrant downtown with great restaurants, shops, and entertainment. Completely agree with you. Janet Williams saying that really is terrible to that historic building go down like that after all of these years. Yes, I agree with that as well. Before we go to our last story, which is actually kind of a really neat story to find here or hear about here in Mississippi, let's look at our weather forecast, what we're looking at right now outside, as well as what we're can expect over the next few days. So right now, our temperatures outside are sitting in hot. That's what it is. Look at that. Jackson, 98 degrees right now. Wow, it is hot. Now, some of those other numbers, like we have, it says 78 in Yazoo. I believe maybe their thermostat is not right on that, but we do have some very hot temperatures out there. 96 down in Macomb, 98 here in Jackson, 97 over in Vicksburg. Very, very warm, very warm. Current radar outside right now, no rain in our area. If you can see down to on the south side of the map, we got a little spot of rain that's picked up right there, but that's not in our area. We really aren't expecting to have to deal with any rain today. If we look at our next 12 hours, you can see we are showing 0% chance of rain, but definitely having that chance of heat. 97 as our high today and dropping down into possibly the low 80s overnight. Next 7 days for our forecast, we're looking at a little chance of rain throughout the day. You had like that 20% chance, but mostly that's probably going to be like afternoon pop-up summertime showers that we're all used to. But look at those numbers, guys. 99, 99, 99. It is hot. It is very hot and is going to continue to be hot for several days here in our area. So make sure anytime you have to spend any time outside that you are staying cool, that you are staying hydrated, drinking the electrolytes. I know we say this all the time, but it is so very important to make sure that you are staying well hydrated and trying to stay cool, especially if you're someone that has to work out in these conditions. God bless you. I couldn't do it, and I don't know how people do it on the daily. It blows my mind. But yeah, just make sure you try and stay hydrated, try and get cool. If you get too hot, if you're driving around, riding down the road, make sure you check your back seats before you get out. Put something back there so you check it so you don't leave maybe a pet or a person or anything that you love behind that you would not want to leave behind. But yeah, make sure also that you tune back in here at 2:30 because we are going to have a talk with our weather team, the First Alert weather team, and we'll be in here and giving a look at your forecast, full details on your forecast, looking at the tropics, seeing if we can expect anything to head our way. I don't believe we have that coming, but you want to make sure you tune in at 2:30 so you can hear from the experts and not from me. All right. So let's talk about the mammoth fossil, rather, that has been found over in Madison County. It's crazy to me. So some scientists over there helped to dig up this fossil over in Madison County, and they're saying that it's from the Ice Age. Look at that. That is crazy. Here, let me take this full screen so y'all can see it better. So scientists helped dig up the mammoth fossil over in Madison County. Fossil collector Eddie Templeton was exploring in rural Madison County and found what appeared to be a portion of an Ice Age elephant tusk exposed in a steep embankment. Scientists with the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality took the tusk to the Museum of Natural Science, where experts confirmed the find that it is actually a mammoth tusk from the Ice Age. MDEQ says that it is an extremely rare find for Mississippi.
This gives us a unique window into the last days of the Ice Age. So these mammoths lived on vast grasslands that form on prairies. And in Mississippi, we've got two main prairie regions.
These are the kinds of things that help them figure out what our state was like, 12,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, or these kinds of fossils. So that's why it's important.
So the Museum of Natural Science will be keeping that tusk for preservation. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. You would, especially here in the summer, right now where we're looking at 100-degree feels like temperatures outside. It's hard to think of something from the Ice Age being here, but it was, and I think it's really neat to see that. Well, guys, that is the end of WLBT Plus today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow at 1. This afternoon, our weather team will be here at 2:30 to give you or to talk weather with you, our First Alert weather team. And then I will be back later on this afternoon as we follow the procession from the funeral of Officer Troy Floyd as those mourners are following him to the Bethel Chapel Cemetery for his final resting place. We'll be back with that this afternoon. Make sure you tuned in. Make sure you also have the WLBT News app so you can get those notifications when we go live here for WLBT Plus. And also you get breaking news information. And download the First Alert Weather app so that you can get those updated forecasts for your area right down to like a pinpoint of where you are. I'll be back later. I'll be back tomorrow at 1. I'm here all the time. I'll be back. I hope you guys are going to be back with me, but have a great day. Bye, y'all.